It's humans. Hang on. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is the first episode of the Guesthouse series. This is I guess like a beta version of like trying out providing recorded videos and prompts for you to do in your own time. So it's for your own therapeutic space. I want to play around with how to make this kind of stuff accessible through my Patreon to people who don't live in Australia or can't come to the lives, because it's difficult to provide that space live when we're all in different time zones. And even people in Australia, we all have very different schedules, work, kids, family, so it doesn't always line up. So this is the first foray into what I hope will be a longer series. I think that I really wanted Embrace Your Space to be quite a focus on self-reflection and I guess kind self-reflection in the with the aim of not improving your life, but becoming more aware of the patterns in your life, because especially when we get stuck or bogged down by situations, it's really hard to actually identify what is it that is making you stuck and how to then shift out of that if you can't identify it in the first place. I'm a big fan of just the general practice of over time learning to notice your experience, learning to be a scientist, like an ethnographer of your life. So it's without judgment. It is curious. And with that skill development, you then have more choices with how you want to respond to situations that present themselves. So that is kind of the reason why I started the Patreon, and then also much more the reason of this series. So we're going to start with a process that is focused on using a creative prompt, which is the Guesthouse poem by, I've forgotten his name, Jalaluddin Rumi. So the prompt is the Guesthouse. The way this series is going to work is we're going to use this text as an access point to reflect on ourselves and how we experience emotions. So in this poem, it talks about welcoming the breadth of human experience into your personal guest house. And what would it be like to welcome it rather than fight against it? And with that prompt, we're going to then look at what does our own guest house look like? What do the emotions look like that enter our guest house? And throughout the process, I'll be giving examples and suggestions of ways that you might take that. And so you'll have time with me talking like this, and then time where we will be looking at my page, so giving you kind of examples of directions you can go. When we think about therapeutic art practices, it is easy to get stuck in the aesthetic of it all, but again, the aim is really just creative curiosity. And so that's the focus of this. So to begin with, I'm going to read the poem. So the poem is by Jalaluddin Rumi, and it was written, he was a poet and mystic in the 1300s, I think. That's a guess. I hope it's close. Apologies if not. And this was translated by Coleman Barks. The Guesthouse. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honourably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So that is the poem. Things that I really love about this are the particular mention, obviously, of emotions, joy, depression, and the quality of giving them qualities, so unmeanness, and that the unexpectedness of the visitors, because often when we feel emotions that we're uncomfortable with, we don't expect them. Also the fact that it mentions shame. I think that how we inhabit shame and guilt it's so powerful, and it really can mess with us. And the idea of inviting them in and learning from them, the concept that be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond, so that every experience we have with our emotions, we can learn from them. And that's not like big learning from all of them, that's just little momentary learnings. So that's the poem. The first activity that we're going to do today is our home. What is our home? What does our home look like? And our home as in our human being. I don't want to say mind and I don't want to say body, like I want them to be linked, because we experience emotions in our body. So I'm going to give more information about that, but for now I'm going to set up my space and invite you to do the same. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. So the things that you'll need for this is essentially paper and pens, or like paper and a mark making tool. What I'll say on materials. So when we think about art materials, we naturally like some materials more than others. Some of us really like watery, flowy movement, whereas other people prefer more precise movements. I think for this one, picking something you're comfortable with is probably the best idea, because we want to start this off with where we are now, what we're familiar with. So I'm going to just put my book like this, just for like practicality's sake. And I'm going to use Neocolors, because they are both like mark making tools, but also you can turn them into watercolors. It is nice to have something movable and then something that's a bit more definitive in your creative reflection, just because you have more options. I also really love pencils. They just don't give me as much like ability to cover a page. Like if I want to cover this page in one color, it's going to take me a long time to do that with these. However, I can do that much faster with crayons. When we think as well about our experiences of materials, it used to be, well, it is still sometimes, people will talk about them as definite. So watercolor is always flowy and soft, or always fluid and like soft colors, and oil pastels are always hard, and we talk about them as definites when everyone actually experiences them differently. Perhaps the majority of people experience them one way, but the reality is that we do experience them differently. So I don't want to label any material one thing or another, because your relationship to that material is your relationship to that material. So when we're looking at this page, what I'll do here, the poem is called The Guesthouse. And I'm just going to put that at the top for our brains to remember. I also don't want to, I'm not going to draw exactly what I would draw on this because we will end up copying each other. Well, you will end up copying me just out of habit, especially when we're like not sure what we're doing. So I'm going to show you some ways to inhabit the prompt. So I'm a very literal person, and when I see that the guest house and draw your house, I do think literally of a space, of a house. I default to like a beach guest house just because that obviously is what those words remind me of. But I'm actually wanting to think more about how I receive emotions. I'm going to give two examples, one of how I used to receive emotions and then one of how I receive emotions now. So we're going to do a version of how I used to receive emotions, and I want us to be able to think about the materials in different ways. I'm going to be really interpretive and abstract. You can also do that, or you can rein it back in and be figurative, however you want. When we think about how we receive emotions, we're going to focus quite broadly because we receive a lot of emotions, some of them good and we like them, and some of them are bad and we don't like them. And so first we're going to just look at our structure. I am quite a worrisome person. And I'm also quite a literal person. So I do have a sense of structure. So my space might be quite definite. So that's kind of one, I think of a structure, basically. But you could also think of your life within this like a cave, like a hidden cave that's got a small opening and isn't necessarily very accessible. But once you're inside, and maybe from the outside, it's dark and it's not inviting for emotions, perhaps. Perhaps emotions don't get to freely wander in as easily as they want to. But then maybe once they're inside, there is a vast cavernous space with stalactites and stalagmites, and it's huge, and there's like a lake and water. Like, it doesn't have to be a house. So when I think about how I receive emotions as guests, how I used to be was I would probably want much more structure. So there really would be like a very clear door. Don't come in the windows. I hate it when you come in the windows. Please enter through the door. The windows are locked. That's not an entryway for you to choose. And the space probably would have a lot of doors. And this, you could take this as if you do want to create art from this, you could look at this as your first draft and then do a nice polished version of it. So if I think about, I want my emotions, this is an example maybe, to be quite separate. So every emotion has its own room, and I would like them to stick to their rooms. Do they stick to their rooms? Probably not, but that's what I would like. This is what I'd like my guest house to look like. I'd like it to be beautiful and welcoming, and maybe it's got a couch in the corner. I want it to be a nice space, but also, let's be real, I must acknowledge that I don't want chaos. My experience of receiving emotions in this space is that emotions do not go to their rooms. They're very happy to lay about on the floor, make on the walls, do their own thing. My goodness. Disappointing, frustrating, uncomfortable. So this is what we're doing. So when you start your process, think about the shape of your boundaries, of your space. The walls might be smooth and soft. When I think about my space now, I think more of like an open, I really want like an open air barn, not barn, like I saw a video of a camp, like a kids camp in America, and they had, it was like on a platform and it was just all open. So there were walls around it, but the walls were only up to the height of your hips. And then there was this beautiful roof and everything was open. And so I think now this would be better. I would like this more, and I aim for this more. So when I think about my space, I'm going to put some smooth blues around. I try to support my guest house to be a smooth, not smooth, but a peaceful place. I try for that. I tend to enjoy things, so it is more colourful. There's grass on the ground. Oh no. And so it's thinking, when I think about like the grass on the ground and that it's a visually appealing place, I think about that I am more welcoming to my emotions now. Perhaps a long time ago I would have drawn a jail because I was not very welcoming to my emotions. I found them very overwhelming. I didn't want them to be there because they were so big. And we're going to get to emotions in future episodes. So we're just going to start with just our, like, the bare bones of it all. And it's just quite soft and nice. I'm going to put some water. And what I'm going to do now is be quiet for a while and just do some art. And you are welcome to do the same. Please do. Let me interrupt myself. You may find it frustrating. This art making, let's be real, is a frustrating process. And when you're asked to do something from imagination or without an end goal, it can be more frustrating. So if you find yourself frustrated, that's okay. It's welcome. Think about how you welcome, think about how you welcome frustration into the guest house as you're doing this process. Because I want to slam the door, but I'm not going to. I'm going to welcome them in. Welcome them in. I also think more natural. I want natural space for everyone to kind of come into. Less walls. We're not very good at depth. Sorry. Yeah. Can go like that. I'm just gonna do this here. Yeah. And then I really want this blue in here. Because that's open. I probably want it to be quite cozy. So I might do a version where you can see into this space and maybe everything is, there's bean bags and beds, snacks. And the other thing, it does change over time. When I think about if I reflect on how I used to receive emotions, it was a jail. It was fueled by self-hatred. And so the emotions were not really welcome. They were uncomfortable. Happiness was uncomfortable. All emotions were uncomfortable. It wasn't like, maybe our houses change. Maybe they're easier for happiness to live in than sadness. I know that anger doesn't really live well in my guest house. It's not really suitable for anger. And we're going to think about, that's the thing, as the sessions go on, and we do more prompts and stuff, we will be looking at each of the emotions. So your emotions might be tailored more to certain houses. And so maybe here happiness is really comfortable in outdoor settings, and I try and make it comfortable for anxiety, but anxiety is not as comfortable. And maybe anger wrecks everything. I'm not sure. It's very much up to you and what you experience. But that's where we're going. We're kind of looking at embodying our emotions and our experience, because we can learn from that. We can go, oh, I really don't like anger. I really push that away. So what would anger look like if I created a representation of anger? And how does it enter the guest house? Does it wreck the guest house? Yes, it does. It wrecks the guest house, etc., etc. Some people might be really uncomfortable with receiving compliments and pride and feeling good about their work. As soon as other people come into the picture, it can be hard to receive that. So it could be that you feel like that sense of pride or being recognized never is just rare, doesn't come up very much. And so it just might be the most surprising visitor, and you might get really jarred by seeing them, and you're like, oh, I guess welcome, come in. Oh, I haven't seen you in so long. Oh, I don't know what to do. Rather than how you are maybe with other emotions that are more familiar and you experience more regularly. So yeah, this is kind of like my guest house. I'm just going to write my guest house here. Why not? And then I'm going to just do kind of the inside, a little bit of the inside. So I might do this one a little bit more abstract. I'm not going to draw a space, because that's the other thing. You don't need to draw a space. You could just use the colors and shapes and textures to create abstract experiences. So I want cozy. I think I want coziness and comfortableness. So I like the idea of this kind of soft beanbag shape. And that I do still like structure. So there may be some areas of structure in the space. And warmth, I want it to be warm and soft, but bright, not too dark. I don't want it to be hard to see things. I think I want it to be brighter than darker. Excuse me. Get off. Oh, that was useless. Oh no. Oh, very good. So it's like yellow cloud situation of just niceness. And maybe the floor is blue and gentle. Maybe you can float on furniture when you arrive. And there might be the sense of those lines of wood moving between the spaces. And you might notice certain movements mean certain things. So I know that like jagged, sharp lines feels oppressive. Whereas I know this like soft, swoopy shape feels more welcoming. And you'll have different, like we have different experiences of that. Little cushions. So I do try to have it much more welcoming than it used to be. And maybe up here. Oh, and it's colourful as well. I didn't realise. So we're wanting to notice these things. Did I draw all this in one colour? No, I've used lots. Did I use earth tones, or is it really bright? So once you've done, and you might do it automatically, you might not be choosing why, like how you want certain things to look. It might just be intuitive. Like this is more intuitive. I don't really know what I'm doing. And afterwards, we're then going to reflect on it. And so I'll walk us through that shortly. So I think there's a part of me that wants it to be visually interesting. And there'll be like those kinds of links of like, I think I find floorboards nice, but someone else might find carpet nice. So this is being 20. Okay, beautiful. So we're just going to spend maybe a couple more minutes on this, and then we're just going to do some reflecting. And so for that you'll just need one of your writing materials, but we're going to write down words. This has ended up quite like soft. And maybe I want to add something not as soft, just as an anchor point. Let's use bronze. Or maybe, I don't know if this will work. Oh no. Maybe I'll just add a Digby. Lounging on the beanbag. Just cause. Yeah. Because Digby is my buddy. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to switch back to the other camera. Okay, so now that we've done our visual representation, what we're going to do is we're going to get a pen or a pencil, something to write with. So I've just got a book just to write on. And so now looking at my the two that I did, the like open one outside and then inside, what I'm going to do is write down words I know, like descriptive words just based on the drawing. So bright. So I want you to look at your work and use really obvious describing words for what you see. We're not into interpretation or anything, just visually, what can you describe? Is it dark? Is it bright? Is it flowy? Is it scratchy? Is it complicated, overwhelming? Is it busy? Is there lots of stuff on the page? Is it smooth? Is it textured? These kinds of words we're going to use for this part. So bright, soft, lines, swirls, no, curves, scratchy, and full. My page is full. The whole page is kind of taken over by the art. Imprecise, it's not a perfect drawing. So it's a little bit messy, scattered. When I look at the first one, that's more the second one, the inside. When I look at the first one, I see more order. So it's like more order from the outside. Order, open, airy, light. And you can use just, if you've drawn it an actual house or shapes that you know are there, you can write them. So like wood, I know there's a lot of wood, grass, sky, walls, doors, you know, you can write down those words as long as you can visually see them. I'm just putting comfort and dog. So we've got a list of words now. And what we want to do next is on a new page, and this is kind of going to go with our drawing. So you could actually do this in your book, which I might do it on the next page. this is kind of the abstract of it. I've got my guest house inside. And then what we're going to do is on our next page, or on the same page if you're doing that on the same page, there's no right or wrong way to lay this out, where I'm going to just write my guest house is and then I'm going to put my words down, because we're aiming to go pre-verbal in the sense of how we've gathered our words. We're aiming to get our words based on our art rather than words first. Okay. So my guest house is bright, soft, and you can change the words as needed. Like my guest house isn't lines. My guest house has curves and lines. My guest house is full and imprecise. It's messy and scattered. It's ordered and open. It's airy and light. You can see the sky and the grass. There's wood. There's comfort. There's a dog. And so you could look at that as a response that's come specifically from your art. So my guest house is bright and soft. It has curves and line and is full and imprecise. It's scattered, messy. I didn't even put messy, how funny. It's messy and scattered. It's ordered and open. It's airy and light. You can see the sky and the grass. There's wood, there's comfort, there's a dog. It's okay if it is contradictory. Like I've got, it's messy and scattered, it's ordered and open. This is the beautiful complexities of our experiences. It doesn't have to make sense. I hope you've enjoyed my changing camera angles. Okay, that's where we're going to finish our first exercise, but we're going to follow a similar process each time. So we're going to start with a prompt. So today was house, the guest house, and we're going to do that with all the emotions. We will then do a visual, bleh, and then a word, bleh, based on the visual. Again, we kind of want to let our creative self do the talking rather than our top-down, our cognitive brain describe our brains. This is the first, sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable. This is the first session, and I don't know if this layout works yet. So I would love feedback on how your experience was. If you found it helpful to see my pages or unhelpful because you ended up copying me, just because that's what we naturally do. If there's parts of it you struggled with that you want more guidance on, yeah, I would love your thoughts on that, because I'd like this to be accessible as possible. So now we're going to finish just with reading the poem again, because it's kind of like a bookend. And then after, I'm just going to invite you to do things. I'll tell you in a second. So I did have it open, but apparently I closed it. The guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows. Even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honourably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. By Rumi. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. I don't know how long it's going to be. I guess we'll find out. And I hope you join me on this process. Let me know if it is helpful. Now that we are finished and we've been reflecting on our experiences of emotions, I would like you to do something self-compassionate. When we are in spaces where we don't feel as supported internally, it can just be hard. It can be emotionally confronting. We're not coming into an exercise all from the same place. If you think about it like a running race, some people are coming to the running race fully warmed up with really good shoes, and other people are coming to the running race not having warmed up with bare feet, and their running race is gravelly. So we all kind of come to this from different positions. So what I want you to do is something nourishing and loving for yourself, whether that's sitting down and having a mindful cup of tea, or whether it's playing a game on your Switch or doing something distracting. I want you to honor your experiencing. So if you feel overwhelmed, do something that is distracting. If you feel settled, follow that. A reminder that this isn't therapy, one-on-one therapy. This is like self-reflection, guided self-reflection. And if there's anything that's come up for you, please seek support in whatever way you can, whether that is a regular therapist, whether that is reaching out to someone, one of your friends. And then there are also hotlines available that you can contact, like Lifeline. Then there's ones in America as well, depending on where you're listening from. But if you can, it's just talking to a friend and patting an animal. Sorry, I'm so burpy. I've just been burping the whole time. That's silly. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope to see you next time. We're going to jump into emotions and how they enter our guest house. So it will connect to the activity we've done today. And I hope you have a good week.